please be factual and please be supporting the tourism industry, because relief missions are being going ahead in the country. But at the same time, more than the relief mission, we need the economy back. So to be economy back, we need the tourism industry to be revived. So I see like certain papers are actually reporting little partially, saying that there are tourists affected and all, which is actually not true at all. So tourists, actually we handle about 300 odd tourists in those affected areas in Morelli as well as in Kandy. We airlifted them and we made them safely going to their destination. Some of them are actually continuing their tours as well. So there's not a single case of incident, or there's nobody in the hospital at the moment when it comes to tourists. And all the tourism sites, even including Morelli, one access way is being already done in Haddon Road, and also Kandy is being accessible. More than all, I think with me sitting here, the Tour Operators Association's president, as well as the Hoteliers Association president, and also National Tour Guide Lecturers Association president, and also the departments which are actually conferring or like say governing these tourism attractions. So all of us have been pledging that our properties, our accommodation establishment, our tours are continuing in normal stage. So that is something that we need to be emphasized, because this is not a kind of a time for us to be partial on any sort, because this is a national disaster and aftermath. And the economy to revive, it's not the relief funds that only we require. We need the economy to be revived with the particular industries. And one industry which can do the change is tourism. Actually, for last 4 days of time, we handled 25,000 tourists. So each day we get about, like say, more than 5,000 tourists. So that itself will be showing international community is very much confident. Tour operators are confident, and actually, as mentioned by the Honorable Deputy Minister, the ship that we handle belongs to the largest tour operator in the world, TUI. So it itself has been carrying 2,800 passengers, came to Colombo next to Hambantota, and there are another 2 cruise ships which has been operated within that time period. Each will carry about 1,000. So that itself is showing that tourists from Germany, tourists from France, tourists from Europe are continue to travel to Sri Lanka, continue to enjoy their trips, and entire attractions of the wildlife are open, and the entire attractions of the forestry is open. Sigiri was open from last 3 days, and people have been going there without any problem. All the cultural triangle sites are being open. So this is not just a statement, because all the people who are actually conferring those, including the Director General of CCF, the Deputy Director Generals of Wildlife, Forestry, all are being sitting with us. So as journalists, I think this is the message that we want to carry, because this is the industry which can rebound the particular economy very fast, and it is already happening. Unless that there's a bogus or fake or negative news goes on, which we don't want. Especially in Morelli, I think about 500 to 600 hotel rooms are waiting right now to receive tourists, because this is all about our employees, all about the industry, all about you. All this money comes to the economy through the taxes. So that message is what we want to carry. We don't want to get created or any kind of a fake information. These are accurate, totally 100% guaranteed information. And today on, like say for last 3 days, our officials as well as the journalists travel all over the tourist attractions. Right now we have been doing a kind of a massive Facebook campaign showing that Sri Lanka is ready. So we want you to also carry that campaign to the world and show that the ready sites, because these are original pictures. These are actually not past pictures. These are happening today. The time, site, everything will be there. And with that, Sri Lanka is ready. Social media campaign will be launched already, and that will connect with the launching page, which will carry the information every day twice. It will be updated with the most accurate information. So what we want is that message as journalists, as who are part of the particular valuable Sri Lankan community itself, to take this message to the world and revive the tourism industry itself, which actually in return will revive and will be a bounce back on the economy with shorter time period. So that's what I want to be telling you. Let me just brief it in Sinhala also very briefly for the benefit of the Sinhalese journalists who are sitting here. ඉතින් අපි ඇත්තටම මේ කාලය තුළත දෙසැම්බර් නොවැම්බර් 30 වෙනකොට ලංකාවට ඇවිල්ලා තිබුණා මිලියන 2.1ක් ටූරිස්ට්. ඇත්තටම 60000ක් විතර පිරිසක් මේ කියන කාලය ඇතුළත ලංකාවේ හිටියා. ඒ වගේම මේ affected areas වල හිටිය 30000ක් විතර පිරිසක්. මේ පිරිස ඇත්තට මේක මම හිතන්නේ අපි ඔක්කොම මේ කෘතඥපූර්වක විය යුතුයි අපේ ආරක්ෂක හමුදාවට disaster management වල activities වල හිටපු සියලු කට්ටියට සංචාරකයෝ අනිත් අයටත් වඩා වේගයෙන් මේගොල්ලෝ මේ කොළඹට ගෙනල්ලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් සැලසලා අපහු සමහර අය ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ රටවලට ගියා. ඒ වගේම ඉතුරු අය සමගි සංචාර කන්ටිනියු කරා. ඒ තත්ත්වයට පත් කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. අවසාන වශයෙන් රම්බෝඩ නුවරඑළිය නුවර වගේ තැන්වල ඉර වෙලා හිටපු ටූරිස්ට්ලා අපි පළවෙනි දෙවෙනි දා ඇතුළත ලංකාවේ කොළඹට ගෙනවලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් සලසන්න පුළුවන්. මේ කාලය ඇතුළත ඇත්තටම අපි වීසා වේව එකක් දුන්නා යම් කෙනෙක්ගේ වීසා එක්ස්පයර් වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් මුලින්ම අපි කරේ ඒක මේ ක්‍රයිසිස් එක පටන් ගත්ත වෙලාවෙම ඒගොල්ලන්ට වීසා එක්ස්ටෙන්ෂන් එක ෆ්‍රී අරන් දුන්නා. සහ ඔක්කොම යාළුවන් අපිත් එක්ක වැඩ කරා. සියලු ගුවන් සේවා තමන්ගේ කැන්සලේෂන් ෆීස් අයින් කරා. සහ ඩේට් චේන්ජස් හරි ෆ්ලෙක්සිබලි කරලා දුන්නා කිසිම අතිරේක ගාස්තුවක් නැතුව. ඒ නිසා සංචාරකයන්ට බය වෙන්න හේතුවක් අපි ඇති කරේ නැහැ මේ කාලය ඇතුළත. සේෆ්ටි සිකියුරිටි වගේම ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සංචාරයට අවශ්‍ය පහසුකම් අපි සලසලා දුන්නා. ඉතින් අපි ඊටාම maybe we have differences but we work very closely and together with the industry this time. මේ tour operators association එක hotel කරුවන්ගේ සංගමය national tour guides ජාතික සංචාරක මාර්ගෝපදේශක කතිකාචාර්යවරුන්ගේ සංගමය මේ සියලු ආයතන රජයත් එක්ක හරිම closely වැඩ කරලා අත්දැකගෙන මේ தත්ත්වය උදා කරා. ඒකේ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් හැටියට දෙසැම්බර් 1 වෙනිදා ඉඳලා මේ දක්වා අපිට සංචාරකයෝ 25000ක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒ සංචාරක ගොඩට ඇතුළත් ජර්මනිය, ප්‍රංශය වගේ යුරෝපා රටවල සංචාරකයෝ සහ අපි මේ කාලේ ඇතුළත ක්‍රූස් නැව. මගී නෞකා හැන්ඩල් කරලා තියෙනවා 4කට වැඩි. ඒකේ අතර තියෙනවා අතිවිශාල මගී නෞකාවක් 2800 සංචාරක පිරිසක් එක්ක කොළඹටත් ඇවිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ අම්බන්තොටට ගිහිල්ලා මේගොල්ලෝ රටවටේ ටුවර් සුට් කරා. ඉතින් මේ ආවේ ලෝකේ තියෙන ලොකුම ටුවර් ඔපරේටර් ගෙනාවු මගී නෞකාව TY කියන ආයතනය. ඉතින් ඒකත් එක්ක අපිට තියෙනවා ජාත්‍යන්තර සංචාරකයින්ට ලොකු කොන්ෆිඩන්ස් එකක් ලංකාව සුරක්ෂිතයි සංචාරය කිරීම සුරක්ෂිතයි විතරක් නෙමෙයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සංචාරයේ කිසිම මේ සංචාරයේ කටයුතු වලට බාධාකින් තොරව කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් වෙනකොට හෝටල් සරකාරෝගේ සංගමේ සභාපතිතුමා විස්තර කරයි හෝටල් වල කිසිදු ආකාරයක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ සංචාරකයින්ට සර්ව් කරන්න බැරි. ඒ වගේ ටුවර් ඔපරේටින් පැත්තෙන් නාලින්ජය සුත්‍රමාත්මය විස්තර කරයි ටුවර් ඔපරේටින් පැත්තෙන් කිසිම බාධාවක් නැහැ. වාහනයන් දෙවි ප්‍රශ්නයක්, තේල් නැති ප්‍රශ්නයක්, පාරවල් වල ඇක්සස් නැති ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇත්තටම නැහැ. ඉතින් මේ මැසේජ් එක අපිට ගෙනියන්න අවශ්‍යතාවය තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ දේශපාලන පක්ෂපාත ભેදයක් සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරෙට නැහැ. අපි ඔක්කොම හිටගෙන ඉන්නේ එක සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයක සහ එක ආර්ථිකයක් කොට දැමීමේ වැඩ පිළිවෙලක. ඒ වැඩ පිළිවෙලේදී අපිට ඕනේ ජර්නලිස්ට් හැටියට, ජනමාධ්‍ය හැටියට මොන ජනමාධ්‍ය වුණත් ඉංග්‍රීසි සිංහල හෝ යම් ආකාරයක වෙන පක්ෂපාත ભેද තියෙන ජනමාධ්‍යක වුණත් මේ ආර්ථිකය කොට දැමීමේ වැඩ පිළිවෙලට තියෙන හොඳම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක කොට දාන්න අවශ්‍ය දේ කරලා දෙන එක. මේ සත්‍ය ප්‍රජාව අතරට ගෙනියලා may it be Sri Lankan communities or may it be the tourists who are potential tourists to Sri Lanka. So this is our peak of peak. Now it starts. December මාසයේ ඉඳලා එන අවුරුද්දේ මාර්තු මාසයේ ඉවර වෙනකම්ම අපේ peak period එක යනවා. ඒතර අපිට potential එකක් තියෙනවා 2,50,000කට වැඩි සංචාරකයෝ අවු මාසයකට ගෙන්න ගන්න. කිසිම කාරණයක් නැතුව මේ කාලය ඇතුළත අපේ හොටල් වලට ඒ වාසුදාව තියෙනවා. අපේ සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරෙන්න අනිත් සියලුම කොටස් කරුවන්ටත් ඒ හැකියාව තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ 2,50,000 ආවොත් අපිට මේ මාස 3 ඇතුළත 2,50,000 මිලියනයකට විතර සංචාරකයෝ ගේනවා. ඒතර මේ මිනිස්සු දවසකට $150 කවම වශයෙන් කියනවා. ඒ ගාන අපි බැලුවොත් එහෙම අති විශාල ආර්ථික contribution එකක් මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකකින් එනවා. ඒක මේ වෙලාවේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය වෙන වෙලාවකටත් වැඩිය. මොකද වෙන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් රිකවර් කරන්න ටයිම් එකක් යයි. ඒ මැනුෆැක්චරින් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකක් රිකවර් කරන්න කාලයක් යයි. නමුත් මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක ඉමීඩියට් රිකවර්. ඒ රිකවර් එකට දායක වෙන්න කියලා අපි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඉල්ලනවා. මොකද මේකට දායක වෙන්න පුළුවන් හොඳම විදිය අපි දැන් මේ සෝෂල් මීඩියා කැම්පේන් එකක් ගෙනියනවා ශ්‍රී ලංකා is ready කියලා. මේ කැම්පේන් එකේ තියෙනවා හෝටල් වල තියෙන කාරණා දවසින් දවස කියන්නේ මේ ඔපරේට් වෙන හැටි ටුවරිස්ට් කොහොමද යන්නේ තල්මස්සු ඩොල්ෆින්ලා බලන්න යන ඒවා හැම වෙනවා මේ වෙනකොට. මේ marine parks operate කරන හැටි ඔක්කොම දත්ත එදා දවසේ පිටුරත් එක්ක අපි අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවා. අපිට උදව් කරන්න මේක තව ප්‍රජාව ඇතුළට ගෙනියන්න. මොකද මේක world movement එකක් වුණොත් අපිට සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරය ඇත්තටම කියවලු තිබුණාට වැඩිය හොඳ විදිහට මේ දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ ගෙනිච්චේ. අනිත් ආරක්ෂිත තත්ත්ව අනිත් දේවල් ඔක්කොම සුරක්ෂිත වෙලා තියෙන වෙලාවක සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයට අවශ්‍ය සියලු දේවල් හොඳින් තියෙන වෙලාවක ඒක තමයි අපිට දෙන්න ඕනේ මැසේජ් එක. So that is the overall message that we want to carry. So to be continue and get more specific information, I'll invite Mr. Arinjaya Sundara, he is the Sri Lanka Inbound Operators Association President. Then the Hoteliers Association will speak and the National Tour Guides Association will also speak with the details. Then the officials of the government agencies are in here who are actually conferring the tour operating the tour related attractions. And you can ask any question from them as well. Thanks. Yes.
Yes. So if you don't mind, could we ask a few questions?
Please go ahead.
Respect, we can
Yeah. So you can ask specific questions from this gentleman as well. Please.
Basically, if you can just clarify, on the statement you're talking about 289 foreign days to affect the, how were they affected and what did you have to do?
I think that its statement itself is being wrong because they affected in the sense they were being stranded in the areas that the floods been affected and New area and all the roads are being affected.
So
But they are not basically,
were able to evacuate.
they are not personally affected at all. They were staying in the hotel, they had food, they had accommodation and everything. But they were stranded because of the fact they don't have the accessibility.
Maybe they couldn't reach up to the airport. Yeah. So
And what we did is, out of that 289, we were being taken first from the roadsides and all about 180 to 190 people. Then with the Air Force, we were being able to airlift them. For at least by December 2nd, every single person who were in those areas were safely taken back to Colombo.
And obviously December is a good month for you.
It is.
So could you give us some sense of what kind of bookings you had, and there be any decline, any drop?
I must invite you.
So actually, these are questions that have been posed by the media. So I must say, the number of cancellations, of course there are a few cancellations, but overall if you take the number of reservations that we have received during the same period, outnumbers the number of cancellations. So two operators are quite confident because the way we handled the situation, right? So that gave them confidence to continue with their programs. Now, previously when some incidents happened in the country, they cancelled the programs or stopped the programs temporarily. But in this instance, it didn't happen because they knew that we were able to recover very fast. So now, the classic example is Kiwai operating the cruise ship with 2,800 luxury passengers on board. Right? They asked us whether it is safe, whether it is possible to call over the Colombo port. We gave them that assurance that everything will be done according to the plan, and we will deliver the service that we have promised, which we did. And they were extremely happy. And then they went to Hambantota, then they engaged in excursions going to Yala, Bundala, Udawalawe, those places, and they had a great time. So then another cruise ship is expected on the 7th of this month, another upmarket cruise ship, Asomana. So the cruise ships will continue to call over in Colombo as well as Hambantota during this period. In addition to that, the number of charters that are operated from different countries. Say for example, every day we have a charter coming from Russia with 400 passengers. The numbers did not decline. They are continuing with 400 passengers on a daily basis. So that confidence is there because the way the authorities, the way they handle it, and of course we work together and we gave them the confidence to the operators to continue with their program.
So no cancellations.
I want to say a few things. I mean, all these tourists stay at hotels from Maravilla to Kasipura. All the hotels are operating not just today or yesterday for the last 3-4 days. Today, as of today, all the hotels in Kandy are operating. All the hotels in Nuvarelia are also operating. Cultural Triangle. So there is really no reason for anyone to even consider cancelling or delaying their visit.
One more thing, actually, out of all the roads in the main touristic areas, only one road is not passable at this point of time. That is the Kandy, Ramboda, Nuvarelia road. But to get to Nuvarelia, there is another access road, as you all know. You can go through Avisavela, Giligat, Hatton, Nanuva to Nuvarelia. That is possible, right? So only one main road is not possible at this point of time. I hope that process will get clear within the next few days.
What about the railway tracks? We hear that out of more than 1,500 kilometer railway track, only less than 500 kilometers is operational now.
Yes.
Most tourists go to Adelaide to trip. They go there and they reserve it and come here. Any alternative for them? What about the railway track?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So at the moment, that rail journey, which is a highlight, is not possible, right? But of course, we will have to look at the possibility of sending them from, say, Colombo to Kandy, right? So that is another thing. But of course, it might not be the same as the journey from, say, Kandy to Alla or Kandy to Norelia. For a short period of time, that highlight might not be available.
So,
Have you done any assessment on the damage to the tourism infrastructure?
Yeah.
And
මේක භාෂා කීපකින් මම ප්‍රදර්ශන එක කියන්නේ ඉන්නවා නේද අපි කන්ටිනියු කරලා
presentations or whatever. I mean, right now, as I said, all the hotels are operating. Only a few that were affected. Those have also been flood damage, including our famous hotels that we saw on video. And so Hotels Association members are all ready to welcome. Now, you asked the question of tourism properties, the damage. We are collating all the data. Hopefully by tonight, we'll get the data from all the hotels that were affected and to what extent they were damaged. And we are in the process of giving it to the tourism authorities, finance ministry to expedite insurance claims and whatever finance support that the government can extend.
Of course, we are watching all the media people. We are positively writing about the situation. And apart from that, now those who have got cancelled, reservation cancelled from that affected areas during that time, what happened to them? Who booked had reservations in Badul, and so on, where in fact values of going there. During that time, what happened to them?
Actually, not only that, I mean, there were lots of tourists who were stranded, who extended their stay. Hotel Association extended all the tourist stays without charging them. So we looked after them. We are honoring all cancellations. So that means if they, for whatever reason, they have cancelled, they can come back again for a further stay. And I think as today, we have seen enough videos circulating from tourists highlighting our hospitality, how in a tragedy Sri Lankans are being so hospitable. And so there is no difference in the Hotels Association. We have been extremely hospitable. We are not only looking after the tourists, we are looking after the displaced persons. We are making food, we are providing linen to affected areas. So we are, as any responsible industry, our main responsibility is towards the country. We are looking after the people in our surrounding areas who are affected. Secondly, we are certainly looking after all the tourists who are in our properties.
Chairman, I could ask on this one. 289 is affected or stranded tourists, or how many tourists altogether we had in the country?
At that particular time period, we had about 60,000 tourists all over the country. But you know, like say, most part of the east coast, most parts of the southern coast as well as the western coast is being carrying more tourists. So which are actually not being damaged at all in many occasions. If you think about Gold, Mathura and Amatara districts are the least affected from the from residents, so most of the tourists are stayed here. But within that range, there are about 30,000 people, like say Central Islands, then and also the places. Whilst it's been there only 289, and the difficulty of being accessed, or difficulty of being evacuated, difficulty of being coming out, stranding, within that period, so from 27th onward till 1st of December. So those are the people, those are the tour operators and their loved ones and everybody. We had a hotline, 1912. They will be called, saying that they stayed in this hotel. As an example, there's a hotel in Oregon called Bush, which is actually in a hilltop and which was not been accessible. But the Air Force themselves, in the evening itself, been taken them back. Say as an example, there are about 40 Bulgarian nationals were stranded in that particular area. So all of them were being taken within a day's time once we know that they are being stranded. So likewise, this 289 somewhere or other stranded within that period. But by 2nd of December, we were being able to take them all back to the safe places, back to the city, not only the safe places, to the particular access of the airport or to Colombo.
Just one question, I mean, more question to the minister. Now, on the one hand, you want to say that everything is back to normal, there's a open, Sri Lanka is open for business. But on the other hand, from a reconstruction point of view, we have the government on a regular basis giving us the extent of damage and sort of painting a fairly grim picture in terms of reconstruction, damage, loss of life, loss of property, all that. So, how do you balance these two? Because we also need to report what the government is saying on the like, Essential Services Commissioner has put out a list of damage, and when you read that, it's very scary. And then you have a president who is saying that it is the most challenging disaster the country has ever faced in its history. So, in that situation, how do you sort of balance the interests of your industry?
Well, as I said, I made it clear about declaration of the emergency situation. Number two, into your question, this recovery effort. For example, as I said, like in the district that I work, 26 schools have been damaged, some major, some flooded, and some light damages. So we need to, rebuild them. Yeah? And houses. There are about, I have statistics actually in my file. There are certain, communities living particularly in plantation areas. These lands we need to get immediate clearance from the NVRO so that we can resettle them or remove them from that site. Yeah. So as I said, there is clearly a need of rebuilding. We need to start from the beginning. Some of those communities we will have to totally remove from those areas and settle in safe areas. So those are long-term measures we need to take, but until such time, even we need to temporarily settle them in some other area. So we need, as I said, this disastrous situation, rescue missions and things, almost we have completed. Now, many of the roads, as I said, except one of those roads, accessibility is clear now, but there are a lot now in terms of my area, personally have affected. The road that I used to go to my home, the bridge has been washed away. So I need to, go extra several kilometers. So we need to rebuild them. So there, as you said, one area like southern, province, even Alla Bandarwal Hamkile area has not been affected by this calamity. I need to make that very clear. The rainfall came from, Lunugala, Passara, then to Viyalu actually, Mahiyangana, and then to Madale. That is how the cyclone went. So the other part was very safe, luckily, Hapukala, Alla Bandarwal. So many areas affected. This is why Kandy, Morelia, then the heavy rains due to Madale, then the Druwe was affected, the Chilawan area was flooded. So started from that area, Passara, Lunugala, and then to Viyalu, Miga, Hakula, this area, that is how it went. So therefore, these areas, the communities affected, we need to resettle, build their homes. So there will be a lot of, building or plans, the budgetary discussions this evening by the President in the Parliament. So as I concluded my previous discussion, the funding for this, particularly foreign funding, one of the key pillars of economy is tourism. So we need to promote this and get them into those areas where they are safe and the roads are clear. As you said, this peak season, we need to ensure that expected arrivals and the traffics are coming, industry is functioning, hotels are, functioning. Meanwhile, that funding could be diverted to the need of the economy to rebuild it.
Just a question. So at a fundamental level, the cyclone was a climate shock that Sri Lanka experienced as an island country, and we see this in many islands. So the tourism industry sometimes is often accused in a cross context of being very aggressive with numbers, with targets, and the environment sometimes is a casualty in how tourism is done, especially in Sri Lanka with natural parks and all coming into it. So is your ministry and industry also going to rethink how Sri Lanka does tourism going forward?
Well, yes. Now, many of projects, many of those places that have been affected, I think they are not suitable for people to live. For example, I can share this experience at what took place in Rendapola. Even, these communities continuously, officials, politicians, representatives, continuously last couple of days, they went home by home and asked them to evacuate. They did not. 8:30 p.m. on 28, there was a telephone call, there is the landslide, and nine of them dumped on the spot, and there were three tourists also rescued by 1:30 a.m. at that night by the military. So the reason was, as you said, improper development. Most of these things are not approved by the agencies. Just on their own they have done, they damage the environment, so they are not suitable. So therefore, tourism-related developments or new projects, I think, as you said, we need to clearly identify them in safe areas. Not in these risky areas. Of course, there are. Most of them. They are not actually even approved by our authority. They themselves have done illegally. Yeah. So we need to, we are planning actually to go ahead with a program that we will identify a list of tourism approved, SLTD approved properties and projects, so that we can clearly display them. Yeah. But it is also to be noted that certain areas, like if we take hill country, there are still problems where settlements, massive communities they are settled now. It's challenging, of course. The plantation sector and many of those lands, there should be, I think, in my opinion, that certain amendments to the land utilization plans.
Yes. I just want to follow up on this question. There are some very exotic locations where it looks really good, overlooking, for example, the Mahanadi River. But these are tourism hotspots, if you like. Those are exotic places. But the question is, are you sort of looking at them that they appear to be not necessarily approved or suitable for that kind of development? So would there be sort of some, rethink about them? Although the locations are really fantastic, but from a safety point of view, at least this that the disaster has exposed that these are not the most suitable places for that kind of industry.
Well, in terms of risk, I think even this place we are talking, there is the risk. We cannot ensure 100% risk-free place. I think there is no such thing on earth. But the thing is that mitigation and the most appropriation. So we need to ensure that most appropriate places for such projects we need to identify, declare, and develop. As well as we need to have the proper mitigation or rescue disaster management plans as well. It's not that we don't go into those areas. No, we cannot do that. Yeah, we need to river banks, beautiful places, exotic areas. We need to go and do tourism. Yes, we need to experience that. At the same time, very effective evacuation plans, information systems for disaster management and things we need to focus on when we live and work or do industries and business on such fragile areas.
Yes, I want to answer your question. Sustainability. The Hotels Association has set a target by 2030 Sri Lanka tourism to be in the top 5 sustainable destinations. So we will work with the Honourable Ministers, Tourism Ministry, and we will get the international guidelines and benchmarks so that in terms of sustainability, in terms of over-visitation, So we are creating a set of guidelines, using of PET bottles, etc., etc. So we hope in the next year or so to create. Hotel Association has done a similar project some years ago called Greening Sri Lanka, where we preserve water, recycle water, etc. So, but now we want to bring it as a standard for Sri Lanka tourism, and so we will publish along with Tourism Ministry. So by 2030, our target is, our goal is Sri Lanka to be in the top 5 sustainable destinations of the world.
I'm sorry. The industry workforce, the hotels must be ready, the tourism like to come. What happens to the workforce? Are they back to work? Are they all coming?
I mean, certain.
They're not affected at all?
Well, I mean, they are, of course. I mean, if you say that nobody is affected, even we are affected, my nose got a little bit funny. So I would say they are back to work. Hotels are looking after their staff very well. We are helping the affected employees, and but it has not affected the guests who are at the hotels. So they are all back to work.
I have a question, sorry. One is a request, one is a question. Firstly, I'll go with the request. As Chairman knows, I've been in touch, I've been wanting to know if the media, at least the ones that with Sri Lanka tourism on the list, if there can be any type of official communication to us, because we want to report positive things. But unfortunately, with multiple things going on and groups sending different things, we don't know the accuracy of it. But if it comes from the Sri Lanka tourism, then we will have accurate news too. So if maybe on the same group that we are on, if you can update us regularly with the road openings, national park openings, because we only want to promote positive news. Second thing is there's some adverse news in the media about crops being damaged, foods, a lot of pricing of vegetables, everything going very high, and about water contamination. Is there anything that we can officially release saying that this is being mitigated in some way?
Hotels are not affected. All hotels are running normally. There is no problem, as I mentioned this morning to the diplomats. There is power, water, electricity, fruits and vegetables, and fish. Fishermen have started going fishing. So we are back to normal operations. Of course, due to lack of supply, the prices are a little high, but we are all okay.
And of course, hotels always maintain the hygiene standards. So there is no issue on that part when it comes to hotels. But of course, the rest of the country, we cannot even guarantee that. But hotels definitely they will maintain those high hygiene standards.
Let me also clarify from our end, SLTD, actually we did an official communique every day, morning and the evening. So we actually sent it initially for the industry saying what parks are being open, what roads are being open, even to the level what fuel stations are in operation. So we know, like say from second, there's only 20 fuel stations which were not being in operation, rest are in operation. Right now, I think it is reducing the numbers. Likewise, every day we send 2 community, basically to the industry say, and we send it to the Guides Association, the hoteliers as well as the tour operators. Now we'll open it up to the journalists as well, because at that time, because of the sensitivity, we really don't want to put it and file it to the media itself, but now we are ready. So today we are actually launching our specific web page for all the information as well. That will also share with you all, which will be updated daily basis. And from the second fact, actually the first thing that government did was zeroing the vegetable importation tax. That actually has been aiming on the tourism industry. When you've been thinking seeing the particular notice of it, it itself is been saving for the benefit of the hotels as well as the tourism industry and the particular general public. We have been like importing those stuff. So the importation is happened. I do think, like as Ashoka mentioned, there's no shortage of supplies there. And also the fresh water as well as the hygienical water is being guaranteed for the tourists in all places. So that's been assured. And I think like some of this now being mentioned about the sustainability standard. Actually, what happened is in the formal tourism industry, we do have sustainability standard. We do maintain all these kind of guidelines. Actually, to approve a hotel, we are taking more than 13 approvals. So there's a scoping committee in the government. And all the agencies sitting here, the wildlife, the forestry, the Central Environmental Authority, everybody is a part of it. What happened is, over and above that, there are informal developments happening all over the country. You know, with certain amount of political influence, this, that and all. People develop their properties wherever they want without even getting approval. Then what they do is, they are being actually using it for informal tourism. So, we are very much particular about curtailing that informal tourism industry, plus going through the standard. Because we do have sustainable standards in Sri Lanka tourism. We do actually certify over 200 properties from sustainable standards. The global sustainable initiatives have been awarded for some occasions as well. And we maintain that scoping throughout. I think these agencies witness that. So anything comes to us as a project will not be approved unless it's within the stringent standard. So that's how things are being happen. But unfortunately there's a massive number of informal establishments, which is the result of the particular involvement of other influencing parties all throughout. With this government, I think it's kind of very straightforward decision has been taken not to go ahead on that.
Pertaining to the water contamination, yes, it was flooding. But I would like to, highlight that all the under the National Water Supply Board, under their standards, so they will take from the source the water and treat them and distribute. So that is how it was happened before, and that is how it is happening right now also. Because I was personally involved in several major restoration of water supply in Mahiyangana, Valimada, Badula, all these sites. The source, was flooded, of course, years machine was submerged for 10-12 feet. But still, the same standards, treatment is taking place. It is the same way.
Sri Lanka tourism is privy to that information from RDA, from water supply. So if all of that can be collated in one communicate and sent out, then we can pick it up and we know, okay, it's coming from a reliable source. The authorities, we can quote without any fear. Otherwise, all these other messages that come, we don't know how accurate it is.
So we did do that update yesterday because of the fact that it has certain areas of clearance that we need to make. Now actually, that one page is already being done, already being circulated among the industry. It's all about being circulated into the outside. So we came to media right now because we are very confident about what we're talking about. And of course, the country has a lot of re-establishment missions are going on. But it's factual, the tourism industry is ready, tourism industry inputs are ready, and the employment and everybody has been ready to take over. So that's why we came to the media right now, not yesterday or day before. So now we are ready to be giving the information as well.
Thank you.
Emergency. නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම ගැන සමහර මාධ්‍යවල වාර්තා කරලා තිබුණා. ඒක ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව අපි කියන්න අවශ්‍යයි. මේ ස්ටේට් ඔෆ් එමර්ජන්සි ඩික්ලෙයාර් කරේ වෙන කිසිම දෙයකට නෙමෙයි. අපිට මම දැනෙනවා වෙන අවශ්‍යතාවයක් රජයක් විදිහට අපිට නැහැ. ඒක ඩික්ලෙයාර් කරේ අපේ අර මේ ගොදුරු ජනතාවට මේ සම්පත් ඉතාමත්ම කාර්යක්ෂමව ඉතා ඉක්මනින් ඒගොල්ලන්ට බෙදා ගැනීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවය මතේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවා. අපි දන්නවා සාමාන්‍ය රාජ්‍යසේවය මේක ලේසි නෑ. පෞද්ගලික සතියෙම මම ගොඩක් රාජ්‍යසේවකයෝ දැන් මගෙත් එක්ක අමනාප වෙලා තියෙනවා මේකට. ඇයි? දැන් සාමාන්‍ය රාජ්‍යසේවය අපි දන්නවනේ තත්ත්වය. හැබැයි මේ වගේ හදිසි අවස්ථාවක ගම් මුදකලා වෙලා ඉන්නකොට අපි රජෙන් බිලියන ගණන් මුදල් වෙන් කරලා තියෙනකොට අපිට සාමාන්‍ය ක්‍රමවේදය යන්න බෑ. ආන්ගේ අනුව තමයි අපි මේ disaster management situation එකක් රටේ ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරලා ඒ අයට ආපදාවට ලකුණු ජනතාවට ඉතා ඉක්මනින්ම මේ සහන සලසන්න අවශ්‍ය පරිසරය නිර්මාණය කරන්න තමයි මෙන්න මේ හදිසි තත්ත්වය ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළේ. ඒක තමයි මේකේ අවශ්‍යතාවය. මේක ඉතාමත්ම පැහැදිලිව මම හිතන්නේ අපි මාධ්‍යයට සමාජයට ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න අවශ්‍යයි.
හැමතුම අපට සිංහලෙන් කියනකොට දැන් අර ඇල්ලට දැන් සංචාරකයන් වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් කරනවානේ. දුම්රිය ගමනාගමනේ බාධා හින්දෙච්ච කොච්චර කාලයක් ඇයිද මේක තමයි.
දුම්රිය අපි ඩ්‍රෝන් වලින් ඇත්තට නානුවේ ඇල්ල එනකන් යම්කිසි තහවුරක් අරගෙන තියෙනවා. විශාල ආපදාවට ලක් වෙලා නැහැ කියන එක තමයි ඒ කොටස. ඉතින් අපි විශාල අවධානයක් යොමු කරනවා. නානුවේ ඇල්ල කොටස ඉදා ඉක්මනින් අපිට කරගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන අවධානය යොමු කරලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් ඇල්ලේ අපි දන්නවා විශේෂයෙන් දකුණු ප්‍රදේශයෙන් ඒ ප්‍රදේශයෙන් මේ වෙනකොට සංචාරකින් පැමිණෙමින් ඉන්නවා. මම ගියෙත් ඇල්ලේ හිටියේ. පොදුවේ ගත්තොත් ඇල්ල ප්‍රදේශයේ කිසිම බලපෑමක් බණ්ඩාරවල ඇල්ල හපුතලේ හල්දුමුල් ඒ ප්‍රදේශ වලට කිසි බලපෑමක් වෙලා නැහැ. වැල්ලවාය මේ ප්‍රදේශය ඉතාමත් හොඳින් යාල පල්හැදියේ නැෂනල් පාර්ක් එක සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය සිද්ධ වෙනවා. මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ සයික්ලෝන් එක ආවේ අපිට ඔය ලුණුගල පස්සර ඊට පස්සේ නුවරඑළිය නුවර මාතලෙන් මේ පැත්තෙන් තමයි ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඉතින් වැඩි වර්ෂාපතයන්ක ඒ ප්‍රදේශ වලට ආව නිසා තමයි යම් යම් ප්‍රදේශ නායයන් ලක් වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. කෙසේ වෙතත් සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයෙන් ගත්තොත් මම හිතනවා අපි තාමත්ම හොඳින් මේ අපේ අර හදිසි දුරකථන අංක සහ මේ කොමියුනිකේෂන් එක හරහා මේක අපි කළමනාකරණය කරලා තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් දැන් අපිට මම හිතන්නේ අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ විශේෂයෙන් අපි ඔක්කොම දන්න විදිහට රටක් ජාතියක් විදිහට මේක නැවත ගොඩනගන්න. ඒ ගොඩනගන වැඩේදී සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය අතිශයින්ම තීරණාත්මකයි අපේ රටක ආර්ථිකයට. මම හිතනවා අපි හැමදෙනාගේම මේ වෙලාවේ වගකීම වෙන්නේ මේ තාමත්ම සංචාරකින් වැඩිපුර පැමිණෙන කාල සීමාවක් මේ එන මාස ගණනාවක්. ඉතින් මේකට අවශ්‍ය නිවැරදිම තොරතුරු සංචාරකීන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාව කවුරු වෙන ආකාරයට සහ අපේ කර්මාන්තය සහ රටේ ආර්ථිකය ඉදිරියට අපිට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට මෙන්න මේ තොරතුරු වාර්තා කරලා අපේ ප්‍රදේශවාසීන් අපේ රටවාසීන් සහ ජාත්‍යන්තර සියලුම කණ්ඩායම් නිවැරදි තොරතුරුත් එක්ක දැනුවත් කරන එක තමයි අපේ වගකීම වෙන්නේ.
අනිත් එක මේ සයිට් වලට සම්බන්ධව අපිට වැදගත් තොරතුරු ලැබෙන්නේ National Tour Guides Association එකේ. ඒගොල්ලෝගේ සමාජිකව හැමතැනම මේ ටූරිස්ට්ලත් එක්ක හිටියා. මම හිතන්නේ අපි විනාඩියක් යමු මේ National Tour Guides Association එකේ සභාපතිතුමාට. ඒකට කියන්නේ කොහොමද මේ දැන්වල සිද්ධ වෙච්ච දේවල් සහ දැන් සිද්ධ වෙන දේවල්.
මම ජාතික මාර්ගෝපදේශක අධිකාරිවරුන්ගේ ආයතනයේ සභාපතිවරයා වශයෙන් නියෝජනය කරනවා ජාතික සංචාරක මාර්ගෝපදේශක අධිකාරිවරු, ඒ වගේම රියදුරු මාර්ගෝපදේශක අධිකාරිවරු, සයිට් ගයිඩ්ලා, ඒරියා ගයිඩ්ලා ඇතුළු සියලු මාර්ගෝපදේශක අධිකාරිවරු වෙනුවෙන් අපිට රජයෙන් මේ අවස්ථාවේ මේක කිසි සුදුහුම් නෑමක් හෝ දේශපාලන කතාවක් නෙමෙයි, මේ අවස්ථාවේ ලැබිච්ච උපරිම සහයෝගය මුලින්ම ඇප්‍රීෂিয়েට් කරනවා. ඒක වර්ණනා කළ යුතු දෙයක්. මේ අවස්ථාවේ ලැබිච්ච අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච නැති විදිහේ අපිට මේ සංචාරක අධිතුමාගේ නියෝජනතුමාලා ඒ වගේම මේ බුද්ධි වේවා සභාපතිතුමා සංචාරක සභාපතිතුමා ප්‍රවන්දනාධිකාරී මේ ඉහල් මුහුදිර මෙතුමාලා අපේ දුරකථන වලට හැම වෙලාවෙම වුණා දුන්නා. අපි තමයි ෆීල්ඩ් එකේ හිටියේ. අපි තමයි වතුරේ හිටියේ අපේ සහෝදරවරු ජාතික සංචාරක මාර්ගෝපදේශක. ඒ වගේම මේ ටීබුෂ් එකේ හිර වෙච්ච 16 දිනක් ළමයි එක්ක ඒගොල්ලෝ ගුණින් කියන වැඩ කරා. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ කියුප් වලින් දෙයි කියලා. හැබැයි පස්සේ මේක වුණා. එතකොට මේ රම්බොඩ ෆෝට් රම්බොඩ හිර වෙලා හිටපු සංචාරක සියලු දෙනා අපිට ගුණින් ගෙන්න ගන්න. ඒ දේෙන් මම අදහස් කරන්නේ ඒක තමයි අපේ ඉදිරියේ ප්‍රවර්ධන ඉදිරියේ සංචාරක ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ රැකගැනීම උදෙසා සියලුම හෝටල් වල ගමේ යන්නේ නැතුව ගෙවල් වලට යන්නේ නැතුව නිමාඩු ලබලා තිබිච්ච අය ඉරවීම හින්දා විසක් නෙමෙයි යන්න පුළුවන් කට්ටියක් නොගිහින් වැඩ කටයුතු කරා තමන්ගේ out of the box රූලෙන් පිට ගිහිල්ලා සියලු දෙනා මේ අවස්ථාවේ රටකගෙන මේ වෙලාවේ සියලු කණ්ඩායමක් ඇතුළේ 107 වැඩ කටයුතු කරා කියන එක මතක් කරමින් විශේෂ ස්තුතියක් කරමින් ජාතික සංචාරක මාර්ගෝපදේශක සහ සියලුම කතිකාචාර්ය සියලුම මාර්ගෝපදේශක අංශයේ සේවය කළ සියලු දෙනාට මාගේ ගෞරවනීය ස්තුතිය මේ අවස්ථාවේ පිරිනමනවා. මොකද ඒ සියලු දෙනා තමන්ගේ යුතුයකම රට වෙනුවෙන් බොහොම හොඳින් ඉටු කරපු හින්දා තමයි දැනට ඇඳී ඉන්න සංචාරකයෝ සහ එමින් පවතිනවා. මම රුසියානු භාෂාවෙන් වචන දෙකක් කියලා දෙනවා. අපිට අපේ රටට සංචාර ක්ෂේත්‍රය නැගිටලා එනකොට අපිට තියෙන තරගකාරීත්වය මහ විශාලයි. අපිව දකින්නේ මේ පුංචි ඩොට් එකක් එන්නේ. අපිට ගහනම තමයි සමහර රටවල බලන්නේ මම දැන් ඕක යනවාද දෙගිලි කරලා. නමුත් මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේ වෙලාවේ ලෝකයේ අපිට තරගකාරීත්වය දෙන අනිකුත් රටවල් වලට අපි ගැන බොරු ප්‍රචාරයන් දීලි වරලා අපිට එහෙම මේ එකක් කරන්න එපා මේ වගේ අවස්ථාවක ඇත්ත ඇත්තෙන් දකින්න. මොකද දැන් රුසියා ඊට අමතරව මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මේ රජයට සියලුම මේගොල්ලෝ ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනකම් මාර්ගෝපදේශක අධිකාචාර්යවරු සියලුම දෙනා මේ සේවය කරා වගේ මට ජනතාවගෙන් පොඩි ඉල්ලීමක් කරන්න තියෙනවා. සංචාරක ශාස්ත්‍රයේ වෙනුවෙන් අපේ රට වෙනුවෙන් මේ වෙලාවේ අපේ රටේ රැඳී ඉන්න මේ වගේ බොහොම සෝචනීය අවස්ථාවක අපේ රට ගැන අපි ගැන විශ්වාසය තියලා එන අයට දකින්න තැන අපේ ලංකාවේ සියලු දෙනා ආයුබෝවන් කියන්නේ ස්තුතියි කියන්නේ මේ මට මේ දැන් හදවතට ආපු යෝජනාවක් මම ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ වෙනකට වඩා ආයුබෝවන් කියන දැක්ක හැමෝම ජනතාව ස්තුතියි කියන්නේ thank you කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට වෙනකට වඩා උපහාරයක් දක්වන ගෞරව කරන අනේ මේ වෙලාවේ අර ත්‍රිවිල් මල්ලිලා අරගොල්ලෝ මේගොල්ලෝ අනම්මනම් ප්‍රශ්න දාලා යනවා නම් කරන්න මෙපා අපිට ආපහු නැගිටින්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැති. ඒකින්ද ඒ වගේ වැඩ කිසි දෙයක් නොකර පුළුවන් කෙනෙක් රුපියල් 100ක් තියෙන කෙනෙක් ටැබ්ලට් ගෙඩියක් කපලා ඉවරලා දෙන්න කේල් ගෙඩියක් දෙන්නේ අර ගමන් පාරේ දකුණේ සංචාරකයන්ට අඩු ගානේ ආයිබුවන් කියන්නේ ස්තුතියි කියන්නේ. thank you for your coming here. ඒ වුණා මම අවසාන වශයෙන් රුසියානු භාෂාවෙන් රුසියාවට වචනයක් කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ආදී අසීරෙන් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒක අපේ රෂියන් channel එකකට යවන්න ඕනේ. ඒ රටක අපි charter flights එන්න තියෙනවා ගෝවාරි. සෑහෙන්න අපිට බලපෑමක් එල්ල කරනවා වෙනත් අපිට තරගකාරී රටවල. ඒ සඳහා අපේ මාධ්‍ය සහෝදර සහෝදරයන් අපේ සහයෝගය දෙනවා. Дорогие россияне, очень приятно для вас двух слов говорить. Я председатель на Шри-Ланке для национальных тургидов. И как в России учился студент, выпускник в России, благодарю вас, спасибо большое, что россияне приезжают в нашу страну. И всегда, когда корона была у нас и цунами было, вы нам помогали. Мы в сердце это не забываем никогда. Дорогие россияне и уважаемый президент господин Владимир Владимирович Путин, мы салют и вас принимаем от души Шри-Ланку. Никакого неправильной информации не принимайте. Приезжайте к нам, мы готовы вас принимать. Добро пожаловать в Шри-Ланка. Айбуан. Спасибо. Thank you.